And we are back with yet the next part, and I think last part of the masking tape perler bead tutorial. This part is tricky because now you have the sticky side of the tape up that you're working against, and both your fingers are going to tend to get stuck to it, and your wax paper is going to get stuck to it, but it's okay, doesn't matter, we can work with it. So take your wax paper, it needs to be a large sheet, and place it over your work. Very carefully. You don't need to worry about sticking the tape to it or anything. If it happens, that's cool, but you don't have to aim to make it stick to it because that's not really what we're doing here. So just needs to be over your work like any other time that you'd be at this point with your perler beads ready to melt them. Only difference is you are not on a pegboard. So be very careful, especially when you first start doing this, because the beads are still loose and only held in place by the tape. So if you're not careful, you can still knock them out of place right now, and then they'll be messed up permanently, and you'll have to start all over again, and nobody wants to do that and waste their beads. They aren't cheap. Well, they kind of are, but anyway, so you have to have your iron all heated up. I've had mine on pretty much all day at this point, but so anyway, you just, as normal, lightly touch it to the top of your work and start to do your normal ironing. Now, normally I would be working in circles, but I'm just gently going side to side with my iron. You have to be really, really careful not to overdo it. Watch through your wax paper your progress of the melting of the beads, and make sure you're not knocking them out of place as you're getting this started. Once they start to fuse together, then you can take a little more liberty with it, but while you're first getting it going, be really careful. Now, on a pegboard, you're not supposed to go more than 10 seconds total because you'll warp and or melt your pegboard, but as we're doing the masking tape method, that doesn't apply. But if you overdo it, then you will have sinking happen. And sinking sucks. You don't want sinking. It's no good. It doesn't look good. So just very lightly glide the iron over the top of the beads. And every so often, take a break and let it cool some. This is part of why I like to work on a marble countertop, because it cools it a lot faster, but any surface you're working on will do. Just give it little intermittent breaks, because otherwise it will overmelt and you'll get things that look like what happened along here on the first attempt at doing Elsa. And we don't want that to happen again, so we're going to give it a little bit, let it cool some. It doesn't have to totally cool, but give it a little bit of time in between. If you can put your hand over it, like this far above it, and you're feeling a lot of heat radiating, let it wait. Just give it a minute. But you can definitely tell, if you can see that, I don't think you can. Let me pick this up. If you can see, it just really isn't that melted yet in the dress part. Now, in the face portion of it up here, it's starting to get melty, so that's good. But this part definitely needs more melting, and the clear beads to the sides are, again, as I mentioned in the intro video, the challenge, because they don't melt at the same rate as everything else. So, I got my little hook back on. Okay, so it's still pretty hot, but it's starting to cool down. So, anyway, when you have clear beads or the glow-in-the-dark colored beads involved in your designs, or if you have the clear glittery beads, because they also are of the same type of material, you definitely need to take extra care not to overmelt them, but you also have to really work at to get them to melt. It's a catch-22 almost. It's kind of tricky, so that's what's so hard about this particular design that I'm doing, and getting it right is not messing it up. and getting it to melt enough to where I can take it off of here without worrying about the beads still being loose and just falling off, because we don't need that happening. So I'm getting a little bit rougher with it, but trying not to overdo it. But since it still has some heat from before, we don't want to go overboard and iron for as long as we did the first time, since it is starting to melt. So you just gotta use good judgment and be very observant of what's going on. Depending on how far you want to melt your beads, some people prefer to leave the holes visible in the beads when they melt them. Other people prefer the look of having completely closed fuses. Part of that depends on which side you want to be the front of your work. If you want... And I didn't have it on there well enough. Anyway, some people like to have the side that's been melted be the front. Some people, I am the other type, who likes the other side, the cleaner side, to be the front. But it's just a matter of personal taste. There is no right or wrong way here. So it just depends which side you like the look of more. Because the difference really lies in if you like the look of this more, or if you like the look of, well, can we tell the difference here? Okay, the look of that more, or the look of that more. I think that looks better, but that's just me. So I know plenty of people who like the other side better, so that I'm trying so hard for you guys to get this little sticky grip to stay on my piano bench here. It's being a butt. So, see, it's not wanting to stay. Technical difficulties, guys. Let me start over with that. Okay, suction cup down. Okay, now it should hopefully stay, at least for the rest of the video. Please, with any luck. So, okay, feeling a lot of heat. Not so much in the hair, because I've been trying to be careful not to overdo the face. I'm really trying to tell if the clear beads are starting to fuse or not. It's really hard to tell. I can tell there's some sinking happening on some of the beads, but as long as it's not really overboard, I can live with a little bit of it. Like, I can tell it definitely happened on this bead over here. I can tell it happened over here. But, I'm not sure if I can lift it up and show you guys. Okay. You may or may not be able to see this, but right here there's a little mess up with the sinking. And over here there's a little bit of one, but compared to the level that it happened on the other one, this is a huge improvement, so I'm still pretty happy with it anyhow. I think I might give it one more pass with the iron and then try and peel off the backing. So this is just going to be a fairly quick one, just to try and get those last handful of stubborn beads to melt together. I'm trying to be really careful. Hard to say, because it always looks like some of the clear ones go and some of them don't, so it's really difficult to tell for sure. But moment of truth, peel back your wax paper, or actually, I stand corrected, flip it over first. We're going to take off the tape side first in the masking tape method, and be very cautious in case any of them didn't fuse. You may need to go over it again, but they should, at this point, be in place. If your tape rips, it doesn't matter because you're just going to toss this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just try to be careful not to rip your beads off of your design, especially if you have some particularly small areas in your design. This one, aside from the arms, doesn't, so not too worried, but I've made other ones where there's lots of small pieces that I've had incident before with them getting ripped off by the tape when I wasn't careful and was still learning how to do this method, but at this point I've gotten pretty good at it. And you just go strip by strip, peel it off. It's kind of interesting because since you poke the holes through it, it's all nubbly. Looks like little studs almost. But anyway, you just take them off one by one. It comes off a lot faster than it goes on. The trickier part to me is taking it off the wax paper, since that's what always wants to stick to the back of the design every time, no matter which method you do. And see, even with this method, there's still some curling of the sides, but just put it between two heavy books for a little while, and it'll flatten it right out. But it's not as bad as when you do just the normal method on the pegboard. Not sure why that is exactly, but it's how it is. Okay, last piece. I'm going to try and not totally destroy the wax paper because I'd like to use the rest of it for more designs, but anywho. Now just like normal, like you would with any other perler design, you just peel your design off your wax paper. This is no different from the other method with the pegboard. Just with a larger design, it does have more of a tendency to stick to the paper, so just try to be as careful as you can. If you do it too fast, I've also found that makes more paper stick to the back as well. So if you go slower, it does help. So just go around. Just put a little bit of pressure on the back with your index finger to get it to loosen up. If need be, you can always put it... Okay, one more time with the suction cup. Come on, buddy. I really need to get a better method of doing this when I don't have somebody to hold the camera. But, anyway, probably my cue that this video is getting more than long enough. But, what was I saying? I don't know. Oh, I remember. That, if it's sticking really, really badly to the paper, you can take your iron, and whether you've turned it on, or I mean if you've turned it off or if you've left it on, doesn't much matter. Just really, really quickly hit it over the wax paper side, and it should help loosen it up. It doesn't 100% of the time, but most of the time it does. So every once in a while, it just is too darn stubborn, but 9 times out of 10, I would say that helps loosen it up. I don't know if it's because it gets more of the wax to melt and loosen its grip, or what it does. It's okay if you rip your used wax paper. It's just the unused part that you want to keep pristine to use later. And get a little bit of paper on the back, but you can always clean that up. So, when it's just small pieces. Get down to the last little bit. I think, yeah. Down to an arm. Okay. Come on off. Come on off. Ta-da! And you have got a very nice looking masking tape perler bead piece, which compared to the other one, I'm going to lay them side by side, and I'm going to hold this though, in case something pops off, it won't matter. Also going to, can I flip this? No, I can't. Okay, well, side by side, you can tell this one is way more curved on the sides than this, which is actually surprisingly flat. I thought it was going to have more curve than that. And this has way more over-melted beads in the clear bead section, and some in the colored too. Then, actually, none of the clear beads on this one really over-melted. There's just the... You know what? No over-melting is visible on this one from this side. Awesome! So, see, this is the difference. I mean, I know there's the slight aesthetic difference in the placement of the mouth. That doesn't count because I moved it down on this one. I already mentioned that earlier. But ultimately it does make a difference on these larger pieces to do the masking tape method, and this is why. You can tell the major over melting in the colored beads over here versus over here where they're nice and neat. So this is why you do it that way if you do a bigger piece. You can do humongous pieces this way that are like wall hangings if you want to, and this is the method you do, because otherwise you will destroy your pegboards. I've done it, I've been there, it's not fun. So yeah, this is how to do it. It's pretty easy, and once you've done it once or twice, you're pretty much a pro. So hopefully this has helped you out. Bye!